The following are true scary stories, found on the subreddit Let's Not Meet. I'll have a link in the description below if you'd like to read along with me. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. Let's begin. This happened several years ago, when I was about 17. I had just gotten my first job at a local pizza joint and sailed by the first few months without incident. One particular night, I was closing shop with my manager, who I'll refer to as Evelyn. She and I were getting close to finishing up, and one of my last tasks was to take out the trash and old used pizza boxes to the dumpster. I got what I could and stepped out the back door, making my way to the dumpster at the opposite end of the back parking lot, when I started to get this odd vibe. When I approached the dumpster, I heard a tiny bit of rustling, and something moved farther behind the dumpster, as if attempting to stay hidden. I get spooked easily, so I warily called to Evelyn while slowly backing away. When my voice resonated in the lot, a tall, thin man springs from behind the dumpster and hauls ass in the opposite direction. I scream and run as fast as I can back into the restaurant. Nearly crying, I explain everything to Evelyn, and after she hears the whole story, she does a quick sweep of the lot, only to find a dirty coat that the man had left behind. She assumed the man was homeless, and just warned me to be careful next time. A couple weeks later, I'm opening the store, and I make it home at around 2 in the afternoon. My mom shows me a news article that she had found about a man in our area who had abducted 3 teenagers over the course of 4 or 5 months. I immediately thought of the man behind the dumpster. As much as I would have liked for the story to have ended here, it only got worse. Several months later, I'm closing with Evelyn again and another manager, Steve. Around 9 p.m., I saw a man pull into the parking lot, and as he did, he turned his headlights off. I was standing where you pull the pizzas out of the oven, which was behind the only registers, and with a large glass front, I was clearly able to see the man as he slowly pulled in. I was uneasy, but didn't say much about it, as I had work to finish. Half an hour later, I look back out and see the man, still with his headlights off, very slowly circling the parking lot. I call Steve over, and after a few long moments of looking out, Steve rushes Evelyn and I into the back end of the store, where he tells us not to move. Soon after, the police come rushing into the lot, and the man is arrested. After Evelyn and I came out, Steve explained to us what he had seen. He had looked out the window again, and the man had parked, opened the trunk of his car, and pulled out a long rope, a cloth, and a large knife. Steve dialed the police just as the man was circling around the building to the back lot. That man was hoping I would come out there again. Needless to say, I quit that job not long afterwards. But I still can't help to wonder, what would have happened if we wouldn't have seen him and I would have went to take the trash out? The following story is verified by the moderators of the subreddit Let's Not Meet. This all took place back in November of last year. I booked an entire trip in order to propose to my then girlfriend. I flew us both out to Florida to go to Disney World, and then watch the last concert of our favorite band, Berlin, and of course, propose. We had a blast. I proposed in the Disney castle, and she said yes. Everything went well. We took off for home the next morning, which happened to be Thanksgiving Day, and caught a connecting flight through San Francisco. About 30 minutes into the flight, the captain comes on the intercom and announces that one of the engines wasn't depressurizing properly. We do a loop back to the airport and get unloaded into a terminal as we wait for another plane to be readied. When we got to the terminal, my new fiancée switched her phone back from airplane mode and within a minute, she had 10 plus voicemails, all from the same number, which she didn't recognize. Fearing the worst, we called the number without listening to any of the voicemails. I knew something was wrong as soon as she started talking to them. Her face went blank, and she didn't say a word. I told her to give me the phone, and she did. I asked who it was, and the voice I heard back just sounded dead. Absolutely no hint of emotion in it. All he said was, "I will kill both of you as soon as you land in Seattle." I asked who he was again, and he just hung up. She said she had no idea who it was, and I certainly didn't know the voice. I called him back, and he would answer, and just repeat the time that we were landing. Little did he know we were delayed a few hours. I used to work in telecom, and I pulled some strings to get a name and an address from the phone number that he used. Neither of us knew the name, nor the address. She looked him up on Facebook, and she had one mutual friend with him. Her ex-best friend. We'll call her Karen. She was no longer a friend because she got wrapped up in heavy drug usage and stole from my fiancé. We did a little more digging and found out he was the boyfriend of Karen's new best friend. My theory is, Karen saw all the posts that my fiancé was posting on social media about the trip, the engagement, and the great time we were having, and she was pissed and wanted to piss on our parade. I didn't take it as a joke, however. A death threat is a death threat, and in my mind, as meth heads, they could follow through with it on a whim. I called him and talked over his rambling, and told him I was armed, knew where he lived, and was not afraid to take things into my own hands. He hung up on me, so I called the Seattle area law enforcement, and they told me to call back on a non-holiday. So I called the emergency line, and they reiterated the same statement. We were on our own. We ended up flying in close to 9 hours after our original arrival time. Once we landed, we both had a single voicemail. Hers, I assume, was from the guy, and mine was from my dad, who said he had gotten a call from my neighbors, saying that my mailbox had been destroyed, looked like it had been hit by a car, and the mail was stolen from it. Her voicemail, however, was the guy screaming, "Where were you? How dare you?" and plenty of other threats and random yelling. I drove home and dropped off my fiancée at her house, insisting she not come to my place in case there was someone still there. Whoever it was threw a brick through my window with an old picture of my fiancée and Karen attached to it. I tried calling him, to no answer. I went to bed, after covering up the window with a tarp and making sure my fiancé was okay. I filed a police report the next day. They said I couldn't do anything without seeing them on my property. We blocked everyone involved on social media and went on with our lives. I didn't hear from him for 3 weeks when he sent me a picture of my fiancée working. I immediately called her and told her to go into the back of where she worked, a bubble tea shop. I then called mall security and explained the situation, but by the time they got to the food court, where the picture was taken, he was gone. At this point, I was done messing around. I knew his address and his name, and I swung by and dropped off a note attached to a critical defense bullet, saying, "This is your last chance to leave her alone. This is your only warning." It's been almost 9 months now. Haven't heard a word or seen them again. But for both of our sakes, I sincerely hope not to meet you, Tyler. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. I also have another channel, Fear Your Maker, if you're looking for more scary content. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.